Now, it's been a while since we've seen white keyboards, but from time to time they seem to make a slow return. And so this kinda reminds me of a retro keyboard, only better of course with modern features. Let me introduce you the Tesoro Gram SE Spectrum in white. This one's mechanical, and besides that glorious RGB lighting, comes with all new optical switches by Tesoro themselves. With this one, Tesoro dropped a monster of a keyboard, and I feel very lucky to first of all have gotten my hands on the white version, and secondly one with the US key layout, since I kinda dislike the German layout. Currently the Gram SE Spectrum goes for like $120 US, sometimes even less if you're lucky. So could this be Tesoro's very own masterpiece? Okay, now right away I have to praise the immensely beautiful aesthetics here. White, as always, really makes that RGB pop out and come to life. But it's not just that. I also like the very minimalistic approach here. One thing, however, does bother me right away. Where the hell is the wrist rest? I like my keyboards to come with such, so this right away is a bit of a drawback for me personally. But other than that, I would go as far as to say this most likely is the most durable keyboard I've typed on so far. The top casing is thick, solid metal, thus making the whole thing pretty damn heavy, which I find to be very good indeed. And while we're at it, this model passed the IP56 test, meaning it's somewhat splash water and dust resistant. The cable, also kept completely in white, is braided and is removable, the keyboard end being a mini USB connection. On the bottom we do not only get rubber feet, but stands as well. Perfect. But let's get to the main attraction here, Tesoro's very own optical switches. I got the version with red ones, but you could get blues too if you wish. The deal with optical switches is, these are basically infrared switches, meaning in theory those should be twice as fast as traditional mechanical switches with a response time of 0.1 milliseconds. A nice side effect is dust and spill resistance, although I wouldn't recommend putting that fact to the test. And of course, being optical means no metal components are used in the switches. This allows for a longer lifespan in theory. Now included in the packaging is a quick start guide, 4 hot swappable switches of the other type available, in my case blue ones, and then a keycap as well as switch puller, the latter engraved as though it belonged to some sort of emperor. Now I bet you now want to know what those optical switches sound like, right? So there you go. Honestly, it feels very different typing with this Gram SE Spectrum. Obviously, there are strong similarities with Cherry Max red switches in some way, but the response does feel kinda different. I don't know whether or not this is some kind of placebo effect manipulating me, but typing does appear to be a bit snappier with this keyboard than with others. Or is it just my imagination? Not too sure about that. Either way, typing feels super nice, no doubt. What I always like seeing on keyboards is the possibility of switching between the 6 key and N key rollover. 6 media keys functions are on board too, Win lock, full keyboard and FN key lock functions, and one can switch between profiles on the fly. Same goes for lighting effects and brightness, which all can be adjusted on keyboard. And that's not all that can be done here without software. Instant macro as well as static and dynamic lighting recording are neat features too. However, this doesn't mean you can't use software to do all that. As always, I find it easier to use the software for customization, and believe me, there's a lot you can do. Key assignments, macros, and lots of lighting effects. So what's the conclusion to draw here? Well, in my opinion, Tesoro did a phenomenal job with this one. It's what I would almost consider to be a masterpiece. The only gripe I have here is the lack of a wrist rest. At $120 more or less, it would have been a very welcome addition for me personally. One could get this exact model in black too, but white sure does look a bit more special for this specific keyboard. The Gram SE Spectrum, at least for me, counts to one of Tesoro's best products to date, which is why I'm very happy to give it my gold award. And as always, thanks so much for watching, guys.